Josh Haston here, Israel Uncensored, on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. It is Monday, the 15th of July, 2019, the 12th of Tammuz, 5779. I am here in Jerusalem. Hope you're doing well in your part of the world. Don't forget, you can always get in touch with me by email, josh at thelandofisrael.com, on Facebook. Joshua Haston is the name, or my page, Josh Haston, Israel Advocacy and Journalism, on Twitter at Josh Haston, and on Instagram as well. In Jerusalem this morning, I had the unique opportunity to attend a press briefing with former Governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, great friend of Israel, supporter of the Jewish state of Israel. He's actually been in Israel, he says, 5 times already this year in 2019. So there we were at the King David Hotel just a few minutes ago, actually, with Dr. Joe Frager from the National Council of Young Israel, who does an amazing job bringing VIPs and others to Israel, like Governor Huckabee. Also part of the delegation was Nick Langworthy. He is the new chairman of the New York Republican Committee. I got a chance to sit down with him as well. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play just a small clip of some of the remarks given by Governor Huckabee, and then want to discuss some of the other things he said.
Well, I'll just open up by expressing always a joy to be back in Israel. It's one of the most exciting places on earth. Many of you have heard me say before, but just to reiterate if you haven't, Israel for me is an extraordinary place where I feel at home. And my first trip here was in 1973 when I was 17, just about 2 months before the Yom Kippur War. Obviously, I didn't know there was a war about to begin. I might not have come. But I've been coming back since that time. Started bringing groups of people here in 1981. Now every year I bring several hundred people to Israel, most all of whom are the first-time visitors to the country. And it's exciting not only to learn new things, which I do every single time I come here, but also to see Israel through the eyes of people who have never been here. And it's a remarkable experience to watch their reactions. And one of the things that I've learned is that when people can come and see this country, not as it's purported often by the international media or by so many of its enemies who are legion, but rather see it with their own eyes, experience it for themselves, they have a very different perspective about what this country is all about and about the value strategically, economically, and even scientifically that Israel plays in the life of the world. And it's nothing short of miraculous. I would make this one other observation before I throw it open to questions. Because I've been coming here now for a total of 46 years, consistently and repeatedly, I've seen the transformation of Israel from a struggling 25-year-old nation that had very little economic power, basically trying to hobble together an economy based on selling a few Jaffa oranges and bringing some tourists in, and infrastructure that was non-existent, single lane dirt roads and a bunch of old beat-up Soviet cars that were pretty hideous to ride in, and buses that were just awful and would choke you to death just getting behind one of them, to one of the most amazing and advanced countries on the planet where technology is second to none, where medical care is world-class and exported all over the world, and where, frankly, the value system that underpins this country is an envy of the world, or it should be. So with that, I will be happy to take any questions.
So there you have the remarks by the great former governor of Arkansas, Israel supporter to the core, Governor Mike Huckabee. He went on to say many other important things, and I'll just summarize them here. He stressed that all other presidents talk the talk, but President Donald Trump walked the walk when it came to moving the embassy to Jerusalem, which he is so very proud of, is Governor Huckabee. He praised President Trump recognizing the Golan as part of the state of Israel, saying that he personally had been to the Golan, hearing the war the civil war raging in Syria, hearing the gunfire and the rockets being launched and the booms, and asking who in their right minds would turn over that strategic plateau to an enemy. Why in the world would Israel turn that over to Syria, whether during the civil war or at any junction, really? Why would Israel turn over the Golan to Syria, saying that he was so proud of President Trump in his declaration? Huckabee also stressed that Israel is not an occupier anywhere, not in Judea, not in Samaria, as one can't occupy their own historical heartland where Jews have lived for thousands of years, said Governor Huckabee. He discussed that he knows firsthand from personal Christian friends who live or have lived under the rule of the PA, the Palestinian Authority, especially in places like Bethlehem, how persecuted they were or currently are by the PA, and of course Hamas in Gaza. If you're Christian in Gaza now, imagine living under Hamas rule. Explaining how Bethlehem was once 80% Christian, but now is less than 20% Christian. And of course, he wouldn't reveal the names of his friends who currently still live as Christians, basically in hiding in Bethlehem under the Palestinian Authority, recognizing how terrible they have been for minorities, the PA and of course Hamas. In regard to Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, Huckabee said he had discussed the issue with the president. He discussed it one-on-one with President Trump, but Huckabee said he was not authorized to reveal what Trump told him in confidence in regard to what the president may or may not do in terms of recognizing Israeli sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. I mean, and firstly, this is me talking here. I mean, first Israel has to recognize its sovereignty, its legal sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. And once Israel does it, I think Israel has to initiate. I don't think we can ask President Trump to be more Israeli than the Israelis, than ourselves. So first, Israel should recognize its sovereignty over all of the state of Israel, including Judea and Samaria. And then hopefully President Trump will follow. I think that makes sense. But Governor Huckabee would not break his trust with President Trump and reveal how that conversation went in confidence. But Huckabee did stress that he suggested to President Trump that he recognize Israeli sovereignty, or at least he stated how important Judea and Samaria were for the state of Israel. But we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens down the road in terms of U.S. recognition. But as I said before, it all has to start here at home. In other news, that's Governor Huckabee and the press conference which was held this morning here in downtown Jerusalem. In other news out of Israel, Israeli security forces foiled a stabbing attack this morning, according to a statement by the IDF spokesperson's office. The incident took place in Hebron, next to the Beit HaShalom Jewish-owned building. Soldiers spotted an Arab woman who aroused their suspicion. During a search of her purse, found a large knife. The potential terrorist, or wannabe terrorist, was placed under arrest, transferred for questioning. This reported by Israel National News. Overnight, a joint force of IDF border police and Israeli police, along with the security force, the Shin Bet, arrested 9 wanted terrorists throughout Judea and Samaria. Let's remember that this happens on a nightly basis, that while we're comfortable sleeping in our beds in Israel, our security forces are out arresting the bad guys. And this only could be made possible thanks to the 2002 Operation Defensive Shield, where the IDF went into all the terror hubs in places like Jenin and Shechem and Ramallah and other cities under the Palestinian Authority, essentially paving the way for the IDF to go into these areas whenever they saw or see fit. So thank God that this happens on a nightly basis, keeping us safe 24/7, 365, the brave IDF, men and women of our security forces. In other news, you have, and this is very sad to me because actress Alyssa Milano, I used to have a huge crush on her. If you remember the show in the 80s, Who's the Boss? She and I are almost the same age. So I had a big crush on Alyssa Milano, but now here that she's in her 40s revealing her true colors, Milano drew criticism over the weekend reported by Israel National News after she compared Vice President Mike Pence to one of the primary architects of the Holocaust. On Saturday, the 46-year-old actress tweeted an image juxtaposing a recent photo of Pence during a visit to a detention center for illegal immigrants in Texas. She juxtaposed that image with a photograph of Heinrich Himmler, the chief of the Nazi SS, architect of the Holocaust, as Himmler, visited a prisoner camp holding Allied soldiers. So she juxtaposed, did Alyssa Milano, those two images. Again, another one of these insane radicals who are making a comparison between what's going on the border with illegal immigrants and the Holocaust. And we've seen this from other Jewish groups as well. But I don't know if it's gotten this bad to the point where images are being juxtaposed of Pence, comparing him to the top SS Nazi. Obviously, no comparison there. And those who actually survived the Holocaust and are alive today should definitely see this as an affront. I certainly do, as a child of Holocaust survivors. Disgusting, Alyssa Milano, to make that comparison, to make that suggestion. But now we're seeing this all far too often here, comparing the Holocaust to what's going on the southern border. If you have a problem with what's going on the southern border, you want to create change, you actually care about these people. Number one, it's interesting how you care about illegal immigrants to the U.S. before you care about actual U.S. citizens, for those living in the U.S. in many neighborhoods throughout the country who are struggling to make ends meet and are living in poverty. I'm curious why Alyssa Milano and the rest aren't out on the streets in certain neighborhoods trying to help these people. This is obviously politically motivated, and this is just another attempt to delegitimize the Trump administration. That's obvious. But if you really care about these people, fine, which I don't believe Alyssa Milano and the rest do, but in no way, shape, or form should this be compared to the Shoah, the Holocaust. Switching gears here, the Jerusalem Post this morning reports that Prime Minister Netanyahu on Sunday during the cabinet meeting said that Israel will inflict a crushing military blow on Hezbollah and Lebanon if Hezbollah dares to strike Israel. The Prime Minister's comments came after Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah gave an interview on Friday on Hezbollah's Al-Manar TV to mark the 13th anniversary of the Second Lebanon War. Nasrallah said that any war will be bigger than the 2006 war with Israel, and it will put Israel on the brink of extinction. That is President Nasrallah of Hezbollah. Netanyahu called Nasrallah's comments boastful words, asserted if Hezbollah dared to do something foolish and attack Israel, we would impose a crushing military blow on it and on Lebanon. Of course, the J-Post reminds us that Netanyahu's comments yesterday came just 5 days after he also responded to a threat by Iran, saying that it would eliminate Israel in 30 minutes if the U.S. attacked the Islamic Republic. Interesting. Israel, of course, always the scapegoat. Remember the Gulf War? The U.S. goes to war against Iraq in Kuwait, and what does Iraq do in response? Launches 39 Scud rockets, missiles at Israel. And here, Iran doesn't threaten the U.S. in case the U.S. would attack Iran. Iran says we will wipe Israel out in 30 minutes if the U.S. attacks Iran. Makes complete sense, right? Nevertheless, Netanyahu responded against the Iranian threats and now responding against the threats by an Iranian offshoot, let's not forget, Hezbollah, the Hezbollah terror organization up there in Lebanon. Turning back to the U.S., President Donald Trump on a Twitter rampage yet again. Last night, Sunday night, doubling down on comments he made earlier, assailing a group of Democratic Congresswomen as foreign-born troublemakers. That's what he said originally. Then last night saying it was sad to see the Democrats sticking up for people who speak so badly of our country, the U.S., of course, and who in addition hate Israel with a true and unbridled passion. So President Trump there taking on, not referring to them by name, but possibly Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Congresswoman, of course, and Ileana Omar, and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, taking on those three for their anti-American stances, and now throwing Israel into it as well, saying that they hate Israel with a true unbridled passion. You can go on to Twitter to follow the full Twitter wars taking place there. Of course, Trump condemned by many in the Democratic Party. Yet those Democrats, what have they done to stand up to these three radical congresswomen who seem to be taking over the Democratic Party, or at least they're getting the attention of the world through the media? Perhaps they're not as influential as we think. Maybe that's the case, but they're definitely getting the attention of the media, and it seems that the Democratic Party is becoming more and more radicalized, like these three freshman congresswomen who time and time again show just how they hate Israel, how anti-Semitic they are, and how they really don't have American interests in mind, in my opinion. One other story here, reported by Times of Israel, relating to Israel, but the U.S., the upcoming U.S. elections, Democratic presidential frontrunner, former Vice President Joe Biden, telling the insane, in my opinion, group, if not now, I call them anti-Zionists, who have never said that they recognize a Jewish state of Israel. They claim that they're pro-peace and whatnot, but yet, for those who consider them a pro-Israel organization, ask them to recognize any inch of this land, any inch of Israel, to be part of a Jewish state. They will not do so. Instead, they spend their time saying the mourner's prayer, the Kaddish, for Hamas terrorists. Yet Biden telling this group, if not now, that, quote, the occupation is a real problem, calling for a two-state solution, pointing the finger also, let's be fair, at Palestinian leadership for inciting violence and rejecting Israeli offers of peace. Biden also said, I think the settlements are unnecessary, adding that the only answer is a two-state solution. Number one. Number two, the Palestinians have to step up too, be prepared to stop the hate that they have caused. So it's a two-way street. So let me just clarify something here. Okay, he wants to seem to be even-handed in his criticism for communities in Judea and Samaria and for hate coming out of the Palestinian Authority, right? But what is he really comparing here? He's really comparing nursery schools and kindergartens, which are attended by Jewish children, and homes, which are owned by Jews in Judea, which sounds like a crazy concept, right? Jews owning homes in Judea. He's comparing homes in Judea and kindergartens to suicide bombers and rocket attacks. Let's not make that comparison. Let's not compare apples and oranges. Let's not compare people who want to build pergolas in their backyards and people who want to improve and enhance their rocket capabilities and who have a pay-to-slay or pay-for-slay program. And as we spoke about last week, as an example, those terrorists who murdered the three boys in Gush Etzion 5 years ago now, the mastermind behind that operation getting a raise, upping his monthly salary from the PA because of the fact that he carried out an operation, a martyrdom operation in their view, in which 3 Jewish teens were murdered. So let's not go there, Joe Biden, and compare homes in Judea and Samaria to those who want to wipe Israel and the Jewish people off the map. Let's not do it. But in fact, that is what he did. Of course, if not now, egging him on to make comments like this, because they are a radical, anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, insane organization that has nothing pro-Israel about them, and should be taken to task time and time again. Go check them out on Twitter and see the madness that comes out of their Twitter feed, and how they are just doing and saying everything opposite of what would benefit Israel. What's good for Israel, they're saying the exact opposite. So don't anybody think that they are in any way, shape, or form a pro-Israel organization. Finally, some sports news. Omri Caspi will again suit up for Maccabi Tel Aviv after his tenure in the NBA. Remember, Omri Caspi, if I'm not mistaken, the first Israeli to play in the NBA. He was in the league for 10 years, played for a bunch of different teams. He actually was injured, but did win a ring, or was given a ring at least, when the Golden State Warriors won the championship a few years ago. Omri Caspi returning to Maccabi Tel Aviv, and that could only be a good thing for the blue and yellow. I mean, they won the Israeli championship this year, so I don't know how much more help they need. But Omri Caspi coming home to Maccabi, doing us proud after playing in the NBA for the past 10 years. And that's going to do it for today. If you missed any part of the show, of course, you can always go back and listen on demand via the website, landofisrael.com, on SoundCloud, on iTunes, on Facebook, Twitter, social media. You can find the show. Don't forget to listen to all the other wonderful programs here on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. My name is Josh Haston. Get in touch with me during the week, Josh at thelandofisrael.com. On Facebook, it's Joshua Haston, or my page, Josh Haston, Israel Advocacy and Journalism, on Twitter at Josh Haston, and now, not so much, but somewhat, on Instagram as well. Coming to you here from Jerusalem on the 15th of July, 2019. And that is the 12th of Tammuz, 5779. Hope you're doing well and are safe in your part of the world. And that's going to do it for this week's show from Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the State of Israel and the Jewish people. Be safe. Shalom, shalom.
Prime Minister Netanyahu,
Benny Gantz,
Avigdor Lieberman,
Yair Lapid,
Bezalel Smotrich,
Moshe Feiglin.
What's going on behind the scenes as Israelis prepare to go to the polls on September 17th? Tune in to Inside Israel Today on the Land of Israel Network on thelandofisrael.com for all the action as it happens.